What is up, bros? Josh here. Today's video is a keeping you up to date video. We're diving into all the recent posts about World of Warships and going over them very quickly to keeping you up to date with everything going on within the game. The majority of this video will be about the future plans for aircraft carrier posts that was posted today and everything that is within that. So that'll be the main thing. So just a side note, I know this is a video about the CV rework, so like-dislike ratio tends to get kind of hit pretty hard there. I'm just trying to keep you guys up to date. So all the likes on this video, I do appreciate it. Remember, don't kill the messenger. I'm just trying to give you guys as much information and as quickly as I can here. But let's dive into the post itself. 8.4, which is of course the next post, is going to bring the delay, which has been talked about for a while. What it basically is a pause to being able to launch the planes. What it's supposed to symbolize is the planes being servicing at the start of the game. And what's going to happen is tier 4, tier 6, tier 8, and tier 10, the delay is going to get longer throughout the time. Tier 4 is not affected by this. They still get the launch instantly, but as the tiers go up, the delay will get longer. Basically, the planes are faster, so it makes sense, basically. But what this is going to do is give everyone a little bit of a grace period before they are swarmed by planes. This is really nice for destroyers because it'll allow you to actually get out there and be able to spot before you have planes over your head, or even be able to go out and get some caps before you have gotten kind of wrecked. In the current one, it is a bummer playing lots of DDs, going out there and getting spotted almost instantly, taking a hit from a CV, and then going out, and then by that time getting spotted by other ships or radar or other DDs. It was pretty tedious. This will allow a little bit of a grace period though, where nothing will be in the sky. It is obviously a bummer for CVs. It would be nice if maybe they add something to do for that little bit, but as you go up in those tiers, you can maybe just relax or go on YouTube for a bit, because you're going to have a little bit of time there where you can't really do anything. Obviously, you'll be able to move your planes or your ship itself, but as for the planes, you will have to wait for that delay, and then once the delay is off, it's fair game. So this is kind of nice. I think it's a good little change to affect the initial spotting of the CV's ability to just basically spot everything and put pressure on destroyers early. So it will be kind of nice. So maybe the destroyer players can kind of come out of the works and actually start playing DDs again if they want to. Number 2, this is one we'll dive into the game itself, but engine cooling consumable has been standardized for all aircraft. So now this consumable will give the same increase in speed of all tiers, 35 knots, 40 for Japanese aircraft, and what it basically will do is going to standardize. So what it will kind of do is, when you pop that consumable, the speed boost, it doesn't have any kind of a resource that it's going to be using up, so it's almost permanent until that cooldown is over, and then after that you have then your bar of fuel. What this is going to do is pretty much buff, just by a tad, buff lower tiers and nerf higher tier speed, so they will kind of lower again to reduce the effectiveness of squads as scouts. This is another nice little thing, because what's one of the biggest faults with especially tier 4s is the planes are so slow, so they're not very fun. So it will be a nice little boost to the lower tiers, and it will actually knock a few knots off of the higher tier ships, so that again is actually kind of nice. So a good little boost here, and it will be standardized. World of Warships has done a lot of standardization when it comes to this game. We saw the standardization of sonar ranges, radar ranges, AA ranges, as well as the standard of now this. So this would be kind of nice. Up like 8.4, we plan to change the interaction between destroyers and dive bombers with HE bombs. Now, the main thing they're talking about is the HE bombs of the USN line, as well as some IJN line, but mainly IJNs using those AP dive bombs. Those tend to not do too much damage because they just purely overpen everything. They tend to be better against cruisers and battleships, but the HE bombs, this is fantastic, and this is something they've talked about for a while, is actually making the drop height higher, and there's actually even word of some counterplay here. So this is kind of nice. Basically what it means is they won't be able to get kind of right on top of your DD and drop your DD for a bunch of basically unavoidable damage. Now they will be dropping higher. This is mainly just CVs versus destroyers, not the other ships. So another nice little buff to some CV players, or buff, or just a nice quality of life change here. The CVs will have to drop from a higher range, which means the bombs will then have a bigger dispersion against those. And it even says that the drop pattern will even change to a narrower yet longer drop pattern. So it'll be a little bit more like Royal Navy dive bombers, if you will, or the carpet bombers, where it's kind of just a long, narrow drop instead of basically a small little spot right there. So this is kind of nice, and you will be able to hopefully avoid that because it'll be a lot more north-south instead of a very short north-south and then east-west as well. So this is kind of nice. Again, this will have to get tested out. All this is preliminary, will be on the public test server, so you can go in there and check it out. But again, you hopefully won't be seeing some big hits from the big HE bombers. If you've ever gone against a Lexington or a Midway, you know how that feels from a destroyer. They will still have the same effectiveness, well, that's what they say at least, to some cruisers and battleships. One thing they do show is that the bombs will tend to drop on the outside of the aiming reticle instead of the inside. So even maybe some thinner cruisers or thinner battleships might even be able to avoid some drops here. So it may be nice for more than just DDs. But right now it's mainly focusing on lowering the amount of damage that dive bombers, the HE bombs, can do to destroyers. So a nice little update here. Future update and further updates, this isn't stated for 8.4, but hopefully 8.5, 8.6, as a couple of these are too. The function of autopilot. So this is something that a lot of people have just hated because the autopilots in the game aren't perfect, but they are working on this to hopefully teach it to avoid obstacles. So this is something that is in the works. And if you've ever played the CV and you pop in a point and then your CV is basically going because you're so focused on playing your planes and you have to control it through the map itself by clicking M and actually putting in an autopilot route. Autopilot isn't perfect, so what they're basically going to do here is there's a way you will point on the map and then the autopilot will route to bypass the islands. If you're trying to get in kind of narrow, it'll mainly focus those. There is already the auto avoid system that they have in game, but this is basically going to be a better version of that. So instead of basically getting beached and then kind of stuck there forever, what the ship will then do is then get itself back into open water automatically and continue on through that. So this might be kind of nice, but still something that we'll have to see how it goes when you let the autopilot kind of control itself. There's, things could happen. It could end up in a different spot. What does open water mean? Is it going to be too far in the open water for some reason? There could be some problems there, but it seems like if you're going around tight corners and want to continue around, it seems like the game will then try to do that automatically, which is kind of nice. Right now, it's not the cleanest system right now, and ships tend to kind of like push in, and then if you're trying to back out really fast, you kind of just go backwards, and the ship will continue to go backwards instead of going forward. It's kind of a weird system right now, so I'm optimistic in this. Good news for fans of co-op and training room combat. Aircraft carrier bots are going to be in this mode. This will be kind of nice. But bots will not be in the scenario modes, so for right now at least. So co-op will now be getting CVs, so you can start practicing against CVs in co-op. So shooting down some planes. I know a lot of people weren't liking having the co-ops or the CVs versus no CVs in co-op, and that was kind of bumming some co-op players out a little bit. One of the main things I'm excited for is kind of a rework that we're going to see throughout captain skills, the mechanics of the priority AA sectors, which is, of course, if you pull up tilde key, which is to the left of your 1, or O. I use tilde just because it's closer to where my WASD hand usually is. O is kind of off to the side, so it's kind of awkward. Basically, the controls of the AA sectors is super clumsy and kind of hard to keep going, and as you can see on an aircraft carrier, 15 seconds to switch sectors is kind of ridiculous. It's really just something that it's almost a waste of time in a lot of situations. So they're kind of doing a rework of this, and that's really exciting because what you can do is pull those up, click the button, and then do that. They've talked about adding in hotkeys for these. They've talked about maybe lowering the time. And so we could see a good little change to this. They've even talked about changing the actual look of this. So hopefully with AA sectors, maybe we'll see faster, more impactful AA sectors, because it is kind of a nice, since you can't control click on planes anymore, you lose a lot of interaction with the attacking planes other than just taking more damage, it seems like. Maybe some interaction with the AA system itself might be kind of cool, so I'm excited to see this. Again, this is just them saying it's going to be completely redesigned. What that actually means, we don't know. Also, what that could mean is stuff like manual fire could be getting an overhaul, which I hope so. There's a lot of AA skills that just don't seem to be worth it, especially something like AFT doesn't really seem to be worth it as it used to when it used to add range. So really kind of excited about that to see this redesign. And then also in current updates, they're talking about the economy. In 8.4, we'll add this indicator of post-combat statistics of doing damage to planes. That's something that it's kind of cool to see, is how much you do. Also, you will then get rewarded for that, but they aren't adding that in right away. They're adding that into the post-battle screens first, but how it will affect your earnings, they have not added that in yet, or are not going to add that in 8.4. Just the showing of the post-combat statistics on the main screen. You can already kind of see that on one of the other screens, but it's not on the main one itself. A couple balance changes both to CVs, Graf Zeppelin and Hakuyu. So if you bought the Graf with the latest patch, or with the latest update with the premium CVs came out, or you know, with the containers that were just out too, that it's going to get a little bit of a buff here. Armor penetration increased by 11 millimeters, so that's going to be a little bit more damage on getting full pens on stuff. Attack time increased from 6 to 8 seconds. Bomb falling speed increased by 13%. Then inner and outer ellipsis slightly reduced in size, so they'll be a little bit more accurate. It'll take a little bit longer to aim that, but they will drop harder and hit harder basically because they're going to get more pens trying to get the Graf. I know the Graf is kind of a harder CV to play out of the premium ones, but I know a lot of people are liking it anyway. But it seems like it's going to get a little bit of a buff to start competing against the other tier 8 CVs. Hakuryu is going to get its own set of torp. Well, they already has these sets, but they're going to get buffed. This one is just something we're going to have to see how it goes. To me, I'm pretty hesitant on any kind of buffs or any kind of changes to tier 10 CVs. I'm waiting for some nerfs to happen to a lot of tier 10 CVs, and this one is just making another type of torpedo option. This is something we're just gonna have to see how it actually affects gameplay, because there's parts of this that make it seem like it's absolutely nasty, and there's other parts that make it seem like it might not be that big of a deal in the end, but we'll have to see just through playing against them. Attack preparation is cut in half from 5 seconds to 2.5. That's extremely quick, so 2.5 seconds on that. We could potentially get kind of wrecked here, but hold on to that thought of being angry. Aiming speed during preparation increase, so the aiming speed will also take longer, so that's kind of nice. And attack time lowered from 10 to 8 seconds, but still aiming is going to be, even though you can attack, the aiming is still going to be pretty wide. Torpedo arming range basically cut in half here, from almost 1200 to just under 700, and then the smallest possible spread of torpedoes slightly reduced. Only says slightly, we're not sure how much. Time between attacks decreased from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. So it seems to me that the planes in these squads, now these are the 4 torp squads, so they're going to kind of run through them pretty quickly. There's only going to be 3 drops in the set. Are going to be able to attack extremely fast on these. However, though, the repair consumable regenerates half the HP that it does on the standard type of torp bombers, so they're going to be more fragile. And then damage reduction during attacks is removed. So this is the part that is very interesting on how it's going to do it. Although it seems like, as they even state down here, this will, if used correctly, they will reward the player with great damage, but it's more of a risk-reward scenario. So we will see how this goes. Risk-reward means you potentially are just going to lose all your planes if you mess up even once, but if you are a skilled CV, it potentially could be very fruitful for you with lots of damage, attacking extremely fast. This is, again, something we're going to have to see how it works. Parts of it look very dangerous. Parts of it look, with mainly the AA part of the immunity being taken away, that seems something that could be very good for AA ships, continuing those planes to maybe hit that last flak bubble. We've all done had CV attacks where they've had 3 or 4 or 5 planes where they're extremely low on life, and then one more flak bubble or whatever could have taken the whole squad out. So maybe we'll see more of that. This is something we're going to have to feel out by playing. It's just basically no one was using this set of torpedoes for that Kiryu, so they wanted to change up and make it a little bit more viable. But again, we're going to see more risk, more reward for these torpedoes. Naval Battles has been a great thing for this game, in my opinion. Lots of oil going to clans that maybe don't compete in clan battles and able to get more buildings. So this has been something where you went off base XP and you got to a point where it would increase in base XP. It would go 300, 900, 1500 base XP and then go up by 50 each time you did one of those within your attempts and your clan's attempts. But now they are going to kind of change this up. So this is actually kind of cool, because you get to the point where basically 1500 base XP, you basically needed to win. If you didn't win, then you were basically SOL and not much else you could really do. So you're kind of reliant on winning. Now they're getting away from that and just going towards the new type of mission, which is cause increasing amount of damage. This is kind of nice because it also helps clans that maybe don't play random battles, maybe play co-op or whatever. So it's actually kind of cool. So the increasing amount of damage starts at 10,000 to get a point, 20,000, 40,000, 60,000, and then will cause an additional 10,000 HP. So then obviously you're going to go 70, 80, 90 all the way up. So this is actually kind of cool. So we'll see more points, more oil going out than the old version. And this is kind of cool. It just keeps it kind of fresh. Naval Battles kind of got annoying after, I wouldn't say annoying, that's a strong word, but it got repetitive after a while. You're saying, okay, well, we need to go out and win. If you lose, you're basically wasting one of your attempts. Remember, you only get 10 per each Naval Battle. So this is kind of cool. It seems to be a tad more consistent, and it doesn't rely on winning. So this is kind of nice because it will allow more variety and not quite as repetitive, because it was getting pretty repetitive, having to do the same kind of thing over and over. And so this reward kind of just good play, whether you win or not, by doing lots of damage. As you all know, there is an Azure lane collaboration going on right now with the Montpelier as well as the Yukikaze. You can get some free stuff by clicking the link down there. I'll put a link down below. Just wanted to say that this is still going on, the collection and all this kind of stuff. If you are into Azure lane, not quite my thing, so not going to spend much time on it, but want to keep you guys up to date. I'll put a link down below to all this stuff. You can get your free I like Azure lane stuff, whatever you want. I've been told, I opened up some of these on stream. We got a lot of the captains. But it doesn't quite seem like the containers are worth the money, unless you want to get the captains or whatnot. But hey, they're there. If you want to get them, you can go for it. But you have to opt into it if you want to start getting this stuff. So if you want that, you can click the link here and then really get into it. Again, not my thing, but if you're into it, hey, by all means do it. For the last thing on this video, there's a new kind of boost that World of Warships is adding, and it's kind of interesting, and it's the Japanese Battleship Research Booster. This is tied into a package right now with one of the Kobayashi camos, but will we see this kind of thing in the future? I'm not sure, but it seems kind of interesting. But basically what it is, on top of just like a cool camo, it comes with what is a research booster, and having the booster means that the cost of researching a certain line, in this case Japanese, is slashed by 50%. So half the credits, half the XP. So if you are kind of making a new account, or if you are a new player and you want this kind of stuff, you want to get through the Japanese battleship line extremely fast. I mean, going through, cutting a tier 9 in half, a tier 10 in half, the price, that's saving a lot of money. So a lot of money and a lot of XP. So because tier 9s and tier 10s can be pretty damn expensive. So this is kind of interesting. Wargaming is kind of on this pattern of taking the grind out of the game and getting people to tier 10s faster. I don't know if that is the best thing for this game. One part, obviously this is a great quality of life thing, because hey, I want to get to tier 10 extremely fast. How do I do it? Okay, I can buy this booster and then I'm there in half the time. But to me, a lot of the content in this game is getting to tier 10. So if they have this, it seems kind of against what the game is meant to be, this kind of grindy game. And when you run out of content, how many times are you going to play the Yamato? You can only play the same ship so many times. It seems like they will probably do this for some of the older lines, USN battleships, IGN battleships, maybe IGN, starting with some of the old lines to get people to tier 10 there. But it is kind of an interesting thing. I'd be interested in what you guys think down below. Obviously, this one's tied in with a bundle right here, but if they sold these boosters, I'm interested in what you guys have to think down below about this style of booster. It's a nice quality of life thing, but I feel like if you're playing consistently, you can probably get to tier 10 pretty quick with all the camos and the bonuses and the events and all the free XP. They can get to that pretty quick. But what do you guys think about the bonuses? I know there's people that can't really play that much, so it is maybe nice and they want to get the model there. And on top of that, the camo's pretty badass too. It looks way darker than what it shows here. But the Kobayashi camos are pretty cool. Even the Roma Stella can on top is even kind of cool looking. But overall, lots of updates here. mainly about the CVs. 8.4 seems to be like a mini rework within a rework. So it is kind of bringing a little bit of optimism for me. We're seeing a lot of changes here that Wargaming's honestly been pretty quiet about. This video is way longer than what I wanted to, so I apologize, guys. But lots of information going on here, and just want to keep you guys up to date. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about the boosters, as well as all the other stuff going on. Again, I'll put all the links down below, and hope this helped you guys keep up to date with all the posts that are going on in World of Warships on all the different platforms they post information. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.